Hello, everybody. It's Stephen Paul from WinExtra bringing you your daily brief for June the 2nd, 2011, otherwise known as the day after Windows 8 got revealed. But we'll get
day
to that.
After
yeah.
Windows 8 now, Hodgson. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, you were bashing me yesterday. Oh, it's Windows next. Oh, it's Windows next.
Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute.
Bloody well, Windows 8 it was.
We'll get to that in a minute. First up, we have Microsoft joins a patent review group to avoid costly litigation.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. It's I'm surprised that this hasn't happened before, actually. Microsoft has become a member of a group called Litigation Avoidance, which it's a paid service started by a group called Article 1 Partners. Now, basically what they are is it's a community, a million-strong community of, like, what you call it, like scientists, technology enthusiasts, that sort of stuff. And basically what they do is to combat patent trolls and to combat stupid patent litigation, they try to crowdsource the information that is necessary in order to invalidate patents. So, for example, you know, if you're a part of this group and Microsoft's part of the group and say they've got some patent that they're being sued for, well, they can go to the group and the group can turn around and maybe somebody will be able to dig up prior art or something that will prove that, you know what, this patent should never have been granted in the first place, and they can then take it to court with them. And obviously the litigation avoidance group, they get paid by the companies that use them, but I would consider that, considering they say that companies spend about $5 billion a year just to defend against
that's a lot of money.
Patents, yeah, that the likes of Microsoft probably wouldn't mind paying
a lot
$1
less.
million, $2 million, or whatever the case may be to these guys in order to ensure they don't come up against so many patent issues.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that more and more now we're seeing large companies, Google, Microsoft, others getting on board with this whole idea of, instead of going to patent war where we say you can't sue us because we've got all this stuff, we'll sue you, that they're actually taking a more aggressive approach now and attempting to get patents invalidated,
yeah.
which I think is just really highlights the complete ridiculous state of patent law all over the place, and may hopefully lead to some legislative change if everybody's taking this kind of approach. But interesting. Obviously not Windows 8 news.
No. Okay, let's get on with that one. Since it was all over the place last night, I think I did about 4 or 5 posts to do with it, just mostly the pictures that got released through the live blog at, where was it? Anyway.
While we're talking here, let's throw up just a few clips of the video and a few screen grabs. Yeah. And but what we'll do, folks, is that they had a 19-minute presentation at the All Things Digital conference, and between Kara Swisher standing there looking cranky as hell, and can't even say his bloody well name.
Moss Puppet.
Exactly. Moss Puppet. Screenshot between Moss Puppet interrupting and asking a lot of questions. It basically took 19 minutes to show off what Microsoft showed off in a 4-minute video. So we'll end the show with that 4-minute presentation for you, so you get a better feel of Windows 8.
Before we actually get started, what was your reaction this morning when you saw what was happening with Windows 8?
Windows Phone 7 on steroids.
Okay.
Do you want my very first reaction?
Yeah.
Once I realized it was Windows Phone 7 on steroids, I got this very disturbing image in my head of you having the freaking fanboy wank at the screen after seeing it, because it was all your fanboy dreams come true. It's like, Windows 8, it's Windows 7! You know? Because we know how much of a fanboy you are. And that was my first one of my first reactions. But Windows 8 is very much, it's the live tiles experience, all grown up. I like it. I think Microsoft have made one or two mistakes, which we'll get into in a minute. But overall, I think it's an interface that has the ability to scale, because it is live tiles. It's got the ability to scale from, the small form factor of about 6 inches, 8 inches, all the ways up to whatever. Whatever you want to do with.
Yeah.
It's very interested by the hardware specs. Everything they showed off was running on current Windows 7 machines, and we know that Windows 7 machines will easily run on Windows Vista specs. So there shouldn't be a need for people to upgrade their hardware in order to run this, unless you want the touch capabilities.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, if, let's say for some strange reason I want touch on my desktop, I basically have to get new monitors that are touch capable.
But you won't have to get new
hardware.
No, you won't have to actually upgrade your physical computer, just your screen in that respect. Again, it's the live tiles experience, which I like. I like the live tiles. To me, live tiles finally come into their own at 10 inches and up, because you can actually see a lot more relevant information, and you don't have to go into the apps to get it. I like the interface. I like how they switch between things. She pulls from the left, and the stuff comes in. I like the snapping. That is the first time we've seen in a tablet-style OS the ability to have two apps open at the same time and easily work on both of them at the same time. I like what they did with the keyboard, especially when you're on the tablet level, that you can switch it from full keyboard to thumb keyboard, which on anything from, like, I suppose, if you've got big hands like me, anything from 12 inches down will be pretty amazing. But I'd say for most people, 10-inch sizes down will allow you to type with your thumbs like you're on a cell phone, which is really interesting. One
of the surprising things was, ultimate fanboy, Apple fanboy John Gruber, to a large degree, came out in favor of what they're doing, except he says that he thinks it's a flawed idea for Microsoft to build the next generation OS and interface on top of the existing Windows.
It's not on top of the existing. No. Well, it is and it isn't. I would assume that a lot of the Windows 8 core is the same core, the same kernel that we're seeing in Windows 7. However, I think the flaw that Microsoft made in their demonstration, and Sinofsky wouldn't be tied down to a date, although he did, when pressed by Moss Puppet, turn around and say, because I can't say Walt Mossberg today, he did turn around and say that it wouldn't be this fall. Okay?
Yeah.
He did say that. Okay? So I think the flaw that they made was when they were showing off older apps running, they have it switch back to what is essentially the Windows 7 desktop.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have used Excel as a demonstration point, because it's obvious that the Office team haven't gotten their shit together yet and pumped out an Office UI that will work inside the new Windows interface. Changing Office UI to work inside the new Windows interface is going to be
big job,
a difficult task.
Yeah.
But you must remember, this operating system, we thought we'd have two shells. We don't. You have one shell. But this shell is fully touch optimized, but you can still use your keyboard and mouse for more business sort of orientated applications. We've got a first look at IE10 fully touch optimized as well. Now, as I said, that was one of their major flaws. I think they should find a way to integrate the more common, popular applications more fluidly into the new design than switching back to a sort of Windows 7 style UI when needed. I don't know how they'd approach that. I would expect that developers would be expected to do that off their own salt, and it's interesting that the entire UI is HTML5, JavaScript, so developers don't have to learn anything new.
Which has a lot of Silverlight / WPF / .NET developers.
I didn't see a single. I didn't.
They're going like, okay, what about us? Like, are we suddenly going to be?
No, they're not, because those skills are still needed for developing the app itself. This is for the interface that appears on the front of on the start screen, which is now the replacement for the menu bar and stuff.
I just want to get my 2 cents in on this, since you made it such a point of me being a fanboy. All right. You
are, yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I still see some slight problems with it, like you pointed out, but not necessarily the same ones. Number one is the way you find out if you've got multitasking happening with other apps. It's like you've got to try and remember in your head what you've got sitting off to the side, basically, and you swipe to find them. Okay, I'm not sure how well that's going to play out. I think you got to find a better way for letting you know what you've got.
How can you find a better way without taking up screen real estate at the bottom? Okay,
I don't know.
You can't. The more I think about it, the only alternative. Look, even in Windows, right? Unless you have your taskbar up, the only way to see this information is to either bring the taskbar up or Alt-Tab.
Yeah.
And this is the equivalent of Alt-Tab. It's swipe instead of 2 key presses. I mean, as a user who never has the taskbar displayed, it's always hidden. To me, this is just the same as Alt-Tab.
Yeah.
And why do I always have it hidden? Because my usage pattern requires that I need my maximum screen real estate at all times,
Yeah. The other thing we don't know is how this is going to play across multiple monitors either.
I don't see why it would be.
Well, because what I'm wondering, all right, is because right now in Windows, like, you basically have your main monitor and your secondary monitor and so on and so on and so on. But with Windows 8, you can see from what the presentation was that it's got that Windows 7 thing where you've got part of it there and you got another section here. I'm wondering whether or not if Windows 8 detects multiple screens, whether it will spread the display across full instead of being chopped off on.
All right, I'm sorry, Hodson, but multiple screen support has been in Windows.
Not a very good support, though.
But it's been there, and it's grand in Windows 7.
It's not bad.
Grand in Vista.
It's not bad.
And this is a touch interface. I don't see why there would be any problem with this whatsoever. Microsoft is not going to turn around and dump multiple screen support.
Oh,
They're not thought about this.
I'm just going to say if they're going to improve it to handle this new style interface. That's all. That's what I'm just wondering. Anyway,
it goes without saying. In fact, it's easier to do with this because what you have is touch screens. You just drag the application that you're using onto the screen that you're using, and you still have the same touchscreen interface on either monitor or multiple monitors, whatever the case may be. It becomes even easier than it is in the Windows in the current Windows world to implement.
Anyway, we've still got that 4-minute video to go yet, and so what we're going to do is, if you've got any comments about what you've seen, any thoughts on the Windows 8 UI that got premiered, drop us a note at podcast@winextra.com, or leave us a comment on anywhere where you find the show. Or if you want, you can leave us a voicemail or a text message at 251-281-8730.
Yeah, and let us know what you think Microsoft should change and is going to change, because remember, this is only a milestone. There's more to come and more development going on. The next big show-off of Windows 8 we should see is at the, is it the Microsoft?
It'll be the Build conference. So well, it used to be the PDC, but now it's called Build.
Yeah, it's developer conference.
Yeah.
So that will be the next big show-off, and you can expect to see a lot more improvements as we go along. Yeah. So let us know what you think should be changed and will be changed, and we can maybe keep a running tally and a running score and check them off as each conference comes out.
All right, and with that note, folks, here's the 4-minute video from the Windows 8 team, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Have a good one, folks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jensen Harris, and I'm Director of Program Management for the Windows User Experience team. This is the first video in a series of videos we're going to be posting on our blog in the coming months that showcase cool stuff we've been working on for what we're codenaming Windows 8. We're here in our design room, which is one of the rooms where we have a lot of interesting discussions about the UI. If you look over here, you can see some of the stuff we have posted up on the wall to inspire us. Sometimes we put designs we're working on the wall. Now, we've been pretty quiet. There's a good reason for that. As you can imagine, the team has had many ideas. Many of them were good. Not all of them were. And so we wanted to wait and really try to figure out what was going to make its way into the product. The first thing that you're going to see when you start a Windows 8 PC is the start screen. The start screen is this personal mosaic of tiles. Every app on your system is represented by a tile. Now, tiles are better than icons for a couple of reasons. They have a little more space for the app to show its personality. Like the weather app can just show you the temperature without you having to open it. We introduced a new platform based on standard web technologies, so HTML5 and JavaScript, and it allows the millions of developers who know how to use those technologies to create a new kind of app for Windows 8. These apps are full screen, they're beautiful, they are designed for touch. But of course they work great with mouse and keyboard as well, if that's what you have. We wanted to make it really fast and fluid to get between your running apps. You just take your thumb or your finger from the side and just swipe it in. As I do that, I run back through my list of running applications. One of the great things about a PC is that you can do two things at once. We created a feature called Snap. I swipe in my thumb from the side of the screen, but now instead of moving it all the way into the center, I'm going to pause for a second and snap it into place over here next to your main app. I can choose to change which app is big and which one is small. So with just one simple gesture, you can snap one app next to another app. Now, a huge part of what you do on a PC today is web browsing. Internet Explorer 10 has a touch-first UI for panning the page very fluidly with the finger, for switching tabs. Here you can see the touch keyboard. One of the things that we realized, though, when we were using it, was that typing requires you to reach all the way into the middle of the screen. And so we designed this thumbs layout, which is sort of more ergonomic, and it feels really natural to use. Windows 8 also runs the existing Windows apps that you use and that you love. And they're just as easy to switch to, and you can use them alongside your new Windows 8 apps. Because it's a PC, it has a file system. And that file system has your photos, it has your documents, it has your videos, it has your music. And you can get to these things not just from your existing Windows programs, but from these new Windows 8 apps. They can get to them just as seamlessly as you've always expected in Windows. You can also get to files and photos that you have on other connected Windows PCs on your local network. And we know that you don't just have your stuff on the local PC, you also have services that you care about. From Windows 8 apps, you can also pick files not just from the file system, but also from any other app installed on the system. We made it easy to get photos from one app to another app. This is the new version of Windows. It's going to run on laptops, it's going to run on desktops, it's going to run on PCs with mouse and keyboard. It's going to run on touch slates. It's going to run on everything. Hundreds of millions of Windows PCs powered by this new interface and new platform. This has just been a small taste of what we're going to be showing over the next year, and we are so happy to finally be able to share it with you.